How does it look?
The bathroom, right? Somebody in the bathroom. It's Who is that? I don't know. I think it's Mark. I'm trying to scurry everybody out of the bathroom so I can tell you where they are. Thank you.
Become popular knowledge about keep reading like that all the time, you're going to become very knowledgeable.
Oh, first of all, is this anybody's Volkswagen? There's a blue Volkswagen out in the back. Does it belong to anyone? Because you will get a ticket if it is.
What?
If there's a blue Volkswagen place back, you didn't park back here, did you? Okay, good. Because you will get a ticket. Does he know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
No.
Cheryl, but du musst wissen, wie der Mark Mark, we're waiting
I'm
for
sure you
you.
understood Volkswagen.
Okay.
Oh, yes. There's cushions right here. You can sit on the arm if you'd like to. Or of course you'd be in there one. Oh, you know what? You can sit on the stairwell too. You know, stairwell, elevator.
Oh, bleachers.
Wow, yeah, bleachers. Okay, finally. I'm Cheryl Gusukuma, so you get the correct pronunciation. I'm the person that sent out the letters and the directions and the time, and I made some phone calls, I believe, also. And let me see, first of all, first thing most important of all, I want to tell you where all the bathrooms are.
Right.
Yeah, some of you have already discovered there's a half a bathroom right here, it's the powder room, which is just right over this way. If you go the opposite direction, there's a doorway over here, there's a master bathroom in around there, through the master bedroom. And then there's another bathroom upstairs, right in the middle of the hallway. So there's 3 bathrooms, so you don't have to gather.
Bushes outside.
Yeah, and then the bushes outside, right? Just watch out for the kitty. You're in competition with the cats. Okay, so that'll be good. First of all, I want to know who did not receive a letter, because I know some people called a little later. Oh yeah, people who had brought guests. Okay, yeah. You can read that. Naturally, in the next sheet, the last sheet has the agenda and the directions, which you should keep for future. Who else did any fun? Yeah, I know many of you brought guests, so all your guests get one also. Yeah.
If you have enough extra.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Any more? Anybody else?
This part of this.
Each person. I know. Did you get one? Okay. Okay, everybody. Okay. This is the letter that you received.
I have a few. One more monthly meeting type thing.
Some people are, I managed to be able to reach in time. So naturally, the people that wouldn't have are people who came as guests. It's a little cover sheet about what we're about. Did you get one? Do you remember getting one?
Well, I got this.
You did, yeah. Okay. You did get it. Yeah, some people are trying to see. Oh, I think I did get it in time,
Yeah,
huh?
right.
Great. You left a message for me yesterday, huh?
coming.
Yeah, yesterday. Yeah. Oh, you're the one that left a very polite message. I really enjoyed it. No, it was very enjoyable listening to. I remember some of these things. I think everyone is here. Basically, it said that it was coming. And actually, we have a lot of extra people here because of guests, which is really nice. Yeah, later on, I've got the air conditioner up full blast, right? And I'm sorry I don't have a fan. I guess maybe that's something I should get. You find these things out once you have it. Is it okay?
Survive it.
Really? Okay. Well, later on, later on this afternoon, it'll start cooling off. Then we can open up everything, and then you can even move around outside if you want to. Or even out like heat. Let's see. I wanted to. There was just some things I wanted to cover with you. Myself and Cynthia. Is Cynthia? Oh, there you go. Cynthia Morga. Or Morgan, not Morgan, I'm sorry, Cesaro. Yeah. Cynthia and myself, and I understand, let's see, where's Pablo? Pablo, there you are. Cynthia, this is Pablo. And
we met.
Oh, have
We
you
met,
met?
yeah.
Okay.
Since-
The three of us started about, it has to be about 6 years ago with Randy Winters, and that's how we got into it. You knew too, Jason, really? Were you at the, did you meet at the Felicia May group? Or were you with the Orange County group? Or?
Well, with Felicia Meier.
Yeah, we used to meet at the Felicia
Santa Monica.
May group. Yeah, Santa Monica. You're from Burbank?
Yeah, there. I met there, and also he had a big workshop. That I
Was
went
it
to.
6 years ago? We started.
6 years.
Yeah, 6 years. Okay, so you're another one. Okay. So there's some of us who will go back.
Refugees here.
Pardon?
Refugees.
Yeah. That started Randy about 6 years ago, so that's how long we've been involved with the Billy Meier case. Now, Cynthia and Bob, where's Bob? There's Bob. That's Bob over there. Bob Peters and Heidi Peters here, their husband and wife. And I know I'm missing. Yeah, we are. And Jean here. Jean, wave your hands so they can see you. And Jason the cameraman. And Michael Wheelan, and where's Paige? Oh, there she is. And Paige are what you would call for the regulars, or we've been regularly meeting. We meet once a month, like I said in the letter, and we alternate between here in Simi and in San Diego, where Bob and Heidi live. So that's how we do it. I think that's basically what I wanted to cover. I'm going to turn the floor over now to Michael. First of all, I guess I was going to say, the only videotaping is going to be by Jason there. And what we do is we keep this videotape for meetings down the road for people who didn't make it, and then they can sit at meetings and show we can show it. We prefer not to make copies or have other people make recordings because of for many reasons. I'll have Michael explain. So that will be the only. Are they allowed to do audio recording?
Yes, one audio.
Audio? Oh, okay. So I guess you are allowed to do audio. Let's see. Should I even mention this? I don't know. I don't know if do I mention anything about this? Make sure everybody's got one.
So people.
We have a declaration here sent by Billy, written and sent by Billy. Maybe I'll let you cover this, Michael. I'm not really prepared for this, okay? I'll let you cover this part of it. Okay, so I'm going to turn the floor over to Michael. And so are there any questions as far as that I can answer? So this is my house. Everybody took their shoes off. This is a Japanese house. Is there any questions? Let's see. The drinks, I guess we have ice in the refrigerator, and there's drinks in the cooler, and there's some drinks in the refrigerator. I don't know if everybody brought their own drinks. Okay, no questions. Wow. Organized group. Okay, Mike, I'm going to give it to you. Oh, I'm sorry. You know what? I forgot to introduce Guido. Gosh, our guest here. This is our special guest who will be giving you a little lecture and answering your questions. Okay? Okay, Michael. I'm going to give it to you. Yeah.
Good afternoon. How's everybody?
Good.
I just want to cover a few things before they get started and sort of introduce you a little bit to the group, the study group, California Study Group, what we're all about, what the objectives of the group are. So, maybe if you want to come at a future date, at a future meeting, there won't be any misunderstandings on what our objectives are and what we want to do, so they can sort of match yours. And maybe some people come here and find out what we do and what we're all about isn't really for them, and they end up not coming, which that's fine too. But I guess it's good to lay down, what we're all about and what we want to do, so everybody understands right up front. There won't be misunderstandings. The declaration that Cheryl was alluding to is something written from Billy, saying basically who can and cannot speak for him. Because as most of you know, if you followed the UFO community over the past years, there's been many people speaking about Billy's material. and frankly have done him a disservice by either saying bad things or wrong things, or selling his material without him getting any benefit from it. So this will be available. I won't read the whole thing now, but the top part's in German, written by him. The bottom part's written in English, translated, and basically it says it's people like Fred Bell, Randy Winters, Lee Elders, and people like that can't speak for Billy and are not allowed to. So if you see people at these different events talking for Billy or selling his material, I'd be very cautious. I've heard certainly some tapes from Randy Winters, and some of the information inside that he said just isn't correct. Now, I think Cheryl and I were talking one evening about that. I think the main flow of the story and the point he's trying to get across is correct, but there's a lot of you may call it details. I don't. I think a lot of it's important that is not correct. It's just wrong, and that's why he hasn't been supported for some time, and is no longer supported by Billy or any of his group. Are there any questions on this, or why this came about? I'm not up here to badmouth people. I just wanted to get that point out.
Yeah, I have a question.
Sure.
I just bought a set of tapes the other night. It was 16 tapes in a set of Randy Winters tapes. And the guy that I asked about it, I asked him, because I saw that at the expo, and he said, no, he said the information's okay. He says it's okay to tapes, he just can't speak as a speaker.
I'll tell you what, we'll get another letter written to the contrary of that. If that's what they're saying, then we'll let her tell them. That's interesting. No, we appreciate that type of information. Thanks a lot.
The guy works from Lightning.
Yeah. Well, these are obviously. Yeah, Jason.
Probably the challenge that I've had since I visited the FIGU, came back, and there was really nothing to follow up on. I basically got back into my life, and to connect with Randy he disappeared, because he was there when I was there. And I thought he was still involved, but when I came back, there was no information about what, where, when, and how. There was some indication that maybe the contact notes were under legal litigation. There was a problem with them, and they were having difficulty, getting them back to translate them into English properly.
Right.
Now, what kind of information do you divulge that is supposedly back to square one? Because those contact notes were very important to me, that they gave at least a beginning to start munching this stuff.
Right.
So what kind of stuff do you guys have to go over that is clearer and more to what Billy has, from what he has been told to say to us?
That's an excellent question. Everybody hear that question? That's an excellent question. Right now, as you guys saw at our booth, and there are some copies back there, some of them were all sold, there's about 5 pamphlet size that have been translated into English from German. And I can tell you right now for sure, the translation of the contact notes, again, starting from number 1 and going all the way through, is in progress. Now that type of progress takes a long time. And let me explain why it takes a long time. And it's probably a good reason, because this group, like I said, is one of the only official groups, and we've been trusted by FIGU and by Switzerland for some time. The reason why is after something gets translated, let's say, for instance, Gene translates, he knows German, he translates contact number 1 into English. He'll take the copies, and then he has to submit them to Switzerland. Somebody in Switzerland will then read them over, make corrections, or what they think is corrections, because in the German language, there's a lot of words that just don't exist in English. So therefore, we have to pick a word, or the translator has to pick a word, or 2 words, or 3 words that mean the same thing. And if you ask different people what this word means, and it doesn't exist in the other language, you may get 2 or 3 different stories of what that really means. So, to jump back on what I was saying, is after Gene sent it to Switzerland, they would make their corrections, maybe what they thought it meant, send it back to Gene, and then Gene would go over it again and say, well, I don't agree with that. And it would be, he'd change it and change it and change it, or maybe he'd leave it the same, say that's a better idea. Then he'd take it and he'd send it back to Switzerland, and then that would be the final time. So it's a 4-step process just for 1 contact notes, and it's a week to get over there by mail and back. And of course, fax sometimes, depending on who's doing the translating, Canada, here, Brazil, different countries, whoever does it, sometimes the fax is a better way, but most of the time it's done by mail. And the reason why I'm answering your question is, I think that that particular group that's doing that is up to about 5 or 6 now in contacts. It's just a long process, and they do it one by one. After one is done, the next one starts, and that whole process starts all over again. So I can assure you, the contacts are getting done, they're getting done, and they'll be done correctly. And I think to further answer your question about, I know a lot of people like to read the other contact notes, but I know for sure after reading the contact notes that have been, like the first and second contact notes that have been done right, against what the Wendell Stevens book on Messages from the Pleiades, I'm sure a lot of you have read that, some of the information is just opposite and it's incorrect. Maybe Semyazi or Billy was talking about a blue car, but in the book it'll say red car. Now, that's between the colors, maybe that's not a big difference, but when you talk about spiritual information and how things work, that is a big difference when they make those mistakes. Does that sort of answer your question?
Well, it does. It gives me some,
It's something to look forward to.
Right.
Yeah.
Because one of the problems that I had with the contact notes is they were literally translated from German to English.
Right.
And they were very difficult to understand. Here we're trying to understand what tonal language means, and we can't even get the right, meaning because it's all backwards.
Right.
So I'm sure our brains are probably completely folded in half now.
Yeah. Exactly.
I had an experience when I was in, and I think this will highlight what the importance of a group like this is because when I was there in Switzerland, I had Salome written, because I'm a typesetter and graphic artist, so I had it written down and I was passing out to friends as a kind of way of saying hi.
Right.
And giving this kind of gift to them.
Right.
And underneath I wrote in parentheses, peace and wisdom, as someone we all know and love with the initials of RW, told that's what it meant. Well, Billy walks up and said, "Hi, what's this?" And I handed him one. He said, "Oh, by the way, this is peace in wisdom." And it totally switched the whole meaning around.
It does, doesn't it?
Right.
Just by a few words.
Right.
No, that's a good point. Yeah, one word. That's a good point.
Yeah.
So anyway, just so we can move on, because I'm sure everybody has a lot of questions for Guido. Let me explain really what this group's all about and what we want to accomplish. Is everybody here, and I think, are some people here not familiar with the Billy Meier case? Or just maybe a little familiar?
I'm just very thing.
Okay. Let me go over a few main points of Billy's life, I'll just breeze over them very quickly. Billy was born on February 3rd, 1938, and I'm sorry?
37.
37.
Beginning of the Aquarian Age.
Oh, that's right, 37.
That is the beginning of the Waterman Age.
At the age of 5, in 1942, he had his first contacts with Svat, who was Semyazi's grandfather. And those contacts lasted from 1942 to 1953, and it was an 11-year period. In 1953, a woman by the name of Aska took over Svat's job, and their main job was really to train Billy, and to get him ready for the upcoming mission that he had to fulfill. Semyazi's contacts, Askat's contacts lasted from 1953 to 1964. Now from 1964 to 1975, there was an 11-year period of no contacts, although in Billy's life there was some significant things that took place that I might want to tell you about. On August 3rd, 1965, in Istanbul, Turkey, Billy was involved in a bus accident where he lost his left arm, and that's the way you see him today. On December 25th of 1965, he met his current wife, Calliope. They met in Greece. That was December 25th. In January 25th of 1966, they decided to get married. They got engaged. Let me tell you something. Billy, or actually Calliope's parents, were not really fond of Billy, and they didn't really like him. And they didn't want him to get married, and they didn't really care for Billy that much. So on February 25th of 1966, they eloped. They left, and in March 25th, 1966, they got married. In 1975, the contacts with Semyazi started with Billy, and the contacts picked up again after an 11-year break with Semyazi, Fatah, Quetzal, all the different people you guys hear about. There was an unfortunate accident on December 15th of 1977 where Semyazi was in the center. She was having a contact with Billy. She was actually in the center talking with Billy at a table, and Billy had before that time asked not to be bothered because he was going to be doing some things. I don't know whether he told the people or not, but he did ask not to be bothered. Apparently someone came up and knocked on the door, and Semyazi got up from the table quickly, I'm assuming, to leave, and tripped and actually hit her head. I believe, and I'm not sure about that, I think it was on a stove, but it was on a leg of an iron or a very hard thing, and injured her head and got hurt, and she had to leave. She went back to the Pleiades and was healed and became better. The contacts there stopped from May 20th, 1978 to March 26th of 1981. And they returned and started again in January of 1984. At the end, November of 1984, Semyazi had a brain collapse because of the injury 7 years prior. And she was taken to a brother nation, the Doll Universe, by, I'm sure all we know is Ascot, and her brain was restored. She has no physical problems left, although she lost all of the knowledge, or all of the knowledge of her occupation and different things, and she has to fundamentally learn that stuff over again. It's going to take approximately 70 of our years. So at the earliest time that Semyazi could return here would be 2054. So anybody who's telling you they're having, somebody like Fred Belch having contacts with Semyazi or this or that, it's just not true. She's not even in this universe and can't be contacted by spiritual telepathy. There's two kinds. There's a primary and spiritual telepathy. And in November 19th of 1989, the contact started again with Ptah, which is Semyazi's father, and will continue for the next 11 years to the year 2000. And that's pretty much the story of Billy, for any of you that may or may not know. To our group, this is the California Study Group, and I think, and of course 4 of you, 5 of you jump in, 6 of you, we feel going off one end or the other. I think there's 3 main points to what we're all about and what we want to do. I think the most important is we study. We study the contacts, we study the information, we talk about it. And that would be the overall, if I said to say there's a top objective of this group, it would be studying the Billy Meier's information. Now I have to say that this is an open forum. We certainly don't disallow or not let somebody talk about other issues, because this is an open forum. We can talk about anything we want, and typically we do talk about a lot of other things. If you want to talk about the Greys or any of these other different things, that's okay. Just to know, so you know, Fred, that we're more focused towards the Billy Meier. That's what the majority of us are here, but although it is an open forum, we're just focused more on the Billy Meier case. The other function of this group, out of the 3, the second one, would be supporting FIGU and supporting Billy Meier and all his endeavors out here in America. As most of you saw at the UFO Expo West, we had a booth out there. All of the people here were involved in manning the booth, selling the material that Billy has, at least the proper English translations. And so we're also involved in supporting Billy in this endeavor here, because he's really been, taken to the cleaners many, many times by Americans out here, and he's just really fed up. So we're here to support him in those endeavors, and that's the other thing we do. And the third thing is we're sort of a support group for new members. People like yourselves, you may or may not be interested in this, but people who want to get more involved with the Billy Meier stuff, such a world away, we have a support group here that we can all study together, we can help each other out. Sometimes you may not understand something, and somebody else will understand something. They can explain at least their opinion or their view of this particular information. So those are the 3 things. We're a study group, we support FIGU, and we support any new members, sort of a support group that come in. Are there any questions before I turn this back over?
Has he ever come to the United States?
Billy's never been to the United States officially. He did take some time when he was with Ascot during his training. Ascot. Between 1953 and 1964, Ascot did take him. Ascot did take him to the United States. They went to Death Valley, and Ascot explained to Billy that this was a city at one time. I'm saying approximately, I think it was about 50,000 years ago. There was a nuclear holocaust, and these cities were destroyed by a nuclear bomb. Now that's in the contact notes. Officially flying over here and being in the United States, no. But he was with Ascot at one time here.
Has he ever spoken of coming to the United States?
No. Well, he's spoken about it. He probably will never. He will never
He's
come.
not allowed to travel. He's not allowed to leave. Yeah, he's not
Yeah,
allowed to
He
travel.
stays
there.
Switzerland, and that's
Right.
all of it working.
Right. Because the actual, the function of FIGU is really to get the mission out. Billy is only an intermediary between the Pleiadians and the higher spiritual forms to get the message. He's really counting on the rest of us here and there and everywhere in the world to make a change for everybody else. Billy isn't going to really go up a trooper and speak, although he did in the very beginning. He's probably not going to do that anymore. That's our mission. That's all the people here, whoever wants to, and all the FIGU members. That's what they have to do.
It's kind of our chosen responsibility.
Yeah, it's our responsibility for our own planet. So they're not going to come down and help us. We have to help ourselves.
That's the whole point.
Yeah, that's the whole point. Exactly. Is that it?
So, why was he chosen?
Billy was chosen, among other reasons. He's the most spiritually advanced person, so say the Pleiadians, on the Earth at this time. He was trained by them, and they deem necessary for, to complete this type of hard task, a very spiritually advanced person. And since at that time, and probably still today, is the most spiritually advanced person, they chose him as being able to complete the mission that they wanted. Does anybody want to add anything to that? Is that
Was there a series of people as well? A series of people that had the choice to continue or not?
Apparently there was one or two people that did not go very far. It was one or two contacts.
Five people could have been chosen.
5 people could have been chosen. They had some problems in the past. They weren't upright, good character. They may lie. Yeah, or they didn't want to. Yeah, there was some previous people. So I think they just found Billy, and that's what he wanted to do.
Some people were afraid that they would be considered to be insane or locked up, and they chose not to get involved.
Then that was the duty of
And some of
Asket.
the people who were chosen possibly at that time are dead now anyway.
Yeah, and that was the duty of Asket and Spath to train Billy to encounter these things in the future of people calling him a liar and you're full of what and all that.
What is the significance of the 11-year lapses? You mentioned there 2 or 3 different.
Yeah, actually, Guido may be able to answer that. I don't know the answer to that, but I can tell you all of the contacts and the breaks happened in 11-year spans. Spath was 11, Asket was 11, the break was 11, Semyaze was 11. Yeah, and then now Ptah in 1989 to 2000 will be 11. He may be able to tell you the significance of that, but we got to compliment you for pointing that out. That is true. It's been 11-year spans.
That's a sunspot period of time.
Oh, is it?
He said.
Oh,
Right, I heard
maybe that's
every 11 years.
yeah.
There's a time.
It might be a sort of a metaphysical, spiritual activity thing.
Might be. Okay, well that's the end of me. I do want to introduce.
Hang on.
Yeah, Cheryl wants to say something.
Yeah, I grossly forgot to introduce Mary Ann here. She's one of our regulars also. Bill, I know. And I was going to mention one other thing, and then you touched on it. But when you were talking about Salome, I don't know if you noticed that on the end of your letters, it was ended with Salome, and that's exactly what it means: peace and wisdom. And if you ever go to Switzerland and visit the farm, everybody greets each other and says goodbye with the word Salome. In fact, we should be doing that more here too. When we greet you at the door, we're supposed to say Salome.
Was that a double A or 1A?
But it emphasized, I always see it spelled with 1A, but when you pronounce it, you put a double A, you put Salome. You stretch out the A.
I think they just add the A in for the pronunciation. So
yeah, just for the extra A sometimes.
Because that's the way how I was introduced to this.
Double A, right?
Yeah, that's right.
I don't have a question, but I want to speak to.
Okay.
No, it's Lyrian. It's Lyrian.
Yeah, it's
right?
Lyrian. Okay, I'm going to hand it over to Guido, and there's 2 people I want to recognize here. I mean, certainly Guido came a long way from Switzerland to address UFO Expo West and our group here. But there's another person sitting right next to him, Heidi Peters, who is taking her time out of today and is going to translate. And I can tell you for sure, and I'm not a translator, but translation from one language to another is very difficult. So please bear with her if they have to get a point across. If she has to stop and you ask your question and they think they're having a talk, they're not. They're just sort of clarifying on what the meaning of your pertinent question is. And please be sensitive. If they want to take a break, there's a lot of people here. If we go 2 or 3 hours and we get half the people, just take a break and let them get a glass of water, go to the bathroom, settle back down, and we'll finish the rest of the people. But anyway, let's give a big hand to Heidi and Guido.
Ich möchte 3 Dinge vorausschicken. Erstens, ich bin Österreicher und spreche nicht so schnell wie Mike.
Guido said he wants to point out 3 different things. First of all, he's Austrian and he does not speak as fast as Michael.
Zweitens, ich will niemanden überzeugen, ich gebe Ihnen Informationen, was jeder mit seinen Informationen anfängt, ist jedem seine Sache.
Guido does not want to convince you or turn you into a Billy Meier fan, whatever. He said, I'm giving you the information. Yeah. He does not want to convince you, just wants to give you the information. You can do whatever you need to do with it, and it's up to you. You can believe whatever you want to. It's totally up to you.
Und eigentlich wusste ich ja nicht, wie das Ganze abläuft, deshalb bin ich eigentlich nicht vorbereitet. Ich mache das jetzt aus dem Stegreif.
Yeah. Guido was not quite sure exactly what our format was going to be today, so he's just going to do it cold turkey, so to speak. And he's just going to answer questions. He's going to, first of all, just point out a few general things about the universe and things like that to sort of guide you into the whole thing.
Und deshalb habe ich mir gedacht, ich gebe Ihnen zuerst einen groben Überblick über den Standort, wo wir uns befinden.
Yeah. Guido wants to give us a general overview of where we are in the universe and things like that.
Und als zweites dann den Sinn des Lebens, warum das Ganze.
He wants to give you an idea of the meaning of our lives, why the whole thing is taking place.
Zum Schluss dann eben die Evolutionshilfe, wer uns da hilft.
And at the end, the help, the assistance we can have to evolve, who is helping us and how they are helping us. That's what he would like to get into right now.
Wie sicher alle wissen, befinden wir uns im Solsystem. Die Erde nicht, befindet sich im Solsystem und das Solsystem ist nach den Angaben vom Tag am Rande hier unserer Galaxis, genannt auch Milchstraße.
Our Earth is part of the Sol system, and we are in the galaxies at the very end in one of the arms.
Unsere Wissenschaftler,
of the Milky Way.
unsere Wissenschaftler meinen, wir seien etwa hier. Ja.
And our terrestrial scientists believe we are actually where the little red dot is, but in reality we are further out where the blue and red dot is.
Das ist eine Spiralgalaxis, hat mindestens 3 oder mehrere Spiralarme. Und dann haben wir hier das Zentrum und ganz in der Mitte ist die Zentralsonne und nicht ein schwarzes Loch, wie unsere Wissenschaftler behaupten.
Our solar system has 3 major spiral arms. The whole thing is in a spiral. And in the center is the central sun, and our scientists believe it is a black hole, and it's not correct. It is a central sun.
Der Durchmesser beträgt nach den neuesten Angaben 114.000 Lichtjahre.
The diameter of the solar system is 114,000 light years.
Und das Solsystem hat eine Geschwindigkeit von 257 Kilometer pro Sekunde in der Kreisbahn. Das Solsystem.
Yeah.
Mit der Erde, das ganze Solsystem.
Okay. When the solar system is turning, it has a speed of 257 kilometers per second.
Ja, unsere Wissenschaftler sagen einige auch schon 250. Kommt sehr nahe ran.
Some of our terrestrial scientists say 250 kilometers per second, so they're pretty close already in having figured that out. But it is 257.
Und ein ganzer Umlauf, der beträgt 317 Millionen Jahre.
One complete circle of going around is 317 million years.
Jetzt diese Spiralachse der Galaxis oder die Milchstraße ist nur eine von vielen XX Millionen anderen.
Yeah, our galaxy is only one, a multitude of millions.
Ja, wir haben genannt 422 mal 10 hoch 42 Galaxien.
Okay. This is the number of galaxies that exist to the 42nd power.
Was die Pleiadier kennen.
And that's only what the Pleiadians know, and they're not the only ones that are learning this thing. So
What is that number? Can't see it from here.
it's 423.10 to the 42nd power of 42.
Jetzt unser Universum heißt deren Universum.
Our universe is called the Dern.
Ja. Daneben gibt es x Millionen, Milliarden andere, drüber, drunter, daneben.
There are millions and billions of other universes around.
Und wir sprechen jetzt aber nur von unserem.
We are only talking about our universe
Wir
right now.
haben hier in der Mitte den Zentralkern,
The central core
dann haben wir den Urkern,
and then the Ur in
das
German.
ist reine Geistenergie.
Yeah.
Reine Geistenergie.
The central core is only a spiritual form. It's a spiritual energy, an energy of spirit only.
Dann haben wir den Urraum.
Guido, ich muss mir schnell erklären, was Ur ist. In German, when we use in the language Ur, it's spelled U-R. It means like the origin, the oldest that is fathomable. It is the very, very oldest. And so this is the Ur space, of the Ur core, and then the next one is the Ur space.
Dann haben wir den Universumsraum und da sind wir etwa hier ungefähr an dieser Stelle.
Okay,
Solsystem.
this is the universe space, and we are in this area where the dot, the red dot is.
Now, is that the Milky Way dot, or is that Earth?
The universe dot.
Universe dot.
Dann haben wir den Umwandlungsraum. Da wird die feinstoffliche Energie in grobstoffliche Energie umgewandelt.
The next one is the transition belt or space, where coarse matter is changed into fine matter.
Dann haben wir den Schöpfungsraum.
And this is the creation space.
Das ist wieder reine Schöpfungsenergie.
This is all creational spirit energy.
Und diese miteinander verbunden hier.
And the two are connected.
Zentrum ist mit dem verbunden.
The core is connected to the creation
Das
space.
sind zwei gegenläufige Spirale.
They are helixes that are moving against one another.
Und dann haben wir da am Schluss noch den Rammgürtel oder Verdrängungsgürtel da ganz außen. Das ist wie die Schale vom Ei so ähnlich.
And the very outer layer is very thin, and it is like the shell of an egg, and it is called it's like a buffer belt. And it is this buffer belt that touches upon other universes that are sort of like bumping against us.
Und allein dieser Gürtel hier, von da bis daher, das ist 1,4 mal 10 hoch 64 Lichtjahre. Allein von da bis daher.
The diameter alone from this belt here, from the creation belt, from here to there is 1.4 times 10 to the 64 power of 64. Light years.
Light years. Ein Lichtjahr hat 9,46 mal 10 hoch 12 Kilometer.
This is
Entfernung.
yeah, 1 light year is the distance of 9.46 times 10 to the 12th power kilometers.
What's outside of that?
Other universes.
What's the outside?
Ich wollte gerade wissen, was ist außerhalb von diesem Universum?
Other universe.
Other universes that touch.
Would you then consider the Doll universe being one that's kind of bumping?
Jason wollte gerade wissen, ob dann das Dahl-Universum.
Das ist gleich daneben. Das Dahl-Universum ist hier gleich daneben.
That's the
Da
Dahl
gibt es
universe.
einen Korridor, da kann man einen Korridor machen. Das ist ja mit Bill gemacht worden und dann kann man hier durchfliegen.
It's possible to form a kind of a corridor to go from our universe to the Dahl universe, and Billy has been able to go there.
Aber man kann nicht telepathisch oder irgendwie Kommunikation treiben mit dem Dahl-Universum. Das ist völlig ausgeschlossen.
It is totally impossible to have communications through telepathy or any other way between the two universes. So that's when Fred Bell and other people saying, oh, we have got the contact with Sannyasi. It is impossible because she's there. There's no, even Billy cannot have contact. And that is why the contacts now are being held by her father, who is still in the Pleiades.
Wir haben Billy versprochen, sie wollen ihn demnächst mal
Darf ich das erwähnen? Guido has just mentioned that Billy has been invited. They want to take him over to the Dahl universe again soon.
Aber sie wollen eine neue Technik, sie entwickeln eine ganz neue Technik und die ist noch nicht völlig 100%ig, deshalb sehr nochmal.
The Dahl people have just developed a new technology to get Billy across there, and it has not been finalized yet, and because of that they are still hesitating.
Und wenn diese Technik fertig ist, dann braucht das nicht mal eine halbe Stunde. Von da.
And when that technology is finalized, it will take less than half an hour to go from our point all the way into the Dahl universe. I was going to say, I just want to mention something. Since you're talking about...
DAL, I'm not sure.
That's the main.
DA, but...
Sure. Oh, Because you're talking about Billy going from one universe to the other. I don't know if you're all aware of it, but in Guido's book, are you aware of Guido's book? There's a photograph that Billy took going from his universe to the dog universe.
Das ist ja auch mit einem Bild. In deinem Buch ein Foto ist, wie der Billy von einem Universum zum anderen.
Can we have one meeting, please?
Diese Zahlen und diese Dinge sind dann unserer Wissenschaft nicht bekannt.
These figures are unknown to our terrestrial scientists. They're working on it, but they are still not. They don't know many of those numbers.
Ich habe Billy mehrere Male nach diesen Dingen gefragt und dann haben sie dann endlich Bescheid gegeben.
Guido said that he prodded Billy several times to get those answers, and it took a long time to get them, and finally they gave him the numbers. So they're not known to our scientists.
Excuse me, I'm confused. Maybe Guido could clarify for me. The top picture is about our galaxy. Is that correct? So Pleiadian is within our galaxy or not? It should be, right?
Pleiadier sind in unserer Galaxie.
Yeah,
Okay.
they are
500 Lichtjahre.
500 light years away.
So
Hier, 500 Lichtjahre.
500 light years away.
so that little dot, red dot on the circular picture underneath that, the galaxy picture, is the galaxy position in our universe.
That's the universe
Is that
belt,
correct?
yeah.
It's our universe.
Yeah.
So Pleiadian as well as
Ich muss noch erklären, in diesem Universumgürtel sind sämtliche Himmelskörper, sämtliche Galaxien, alles ist da drin.
Every galaxy, every heavenly body, anything, every star, everything is contained within that universe belt.
I see. So within our observation today, it's all within that
Yes.
within that little torus there, donut
Der
there.
Herr wollte wissen, also alle unsere Beobachtungen und alle unsere Entwicklungen, das ist alles in diesem Kreis.
So this
Aber nicht mal das, die sind nur, unsere Beobachtungen gehen nur 15 Lichtjahre in eine Richtung, 15 Lichtjahre. Ja, 15 Lichtjahre.
Our observations do not go beyond the first 15 light years.
Yeah.
So, you
Und
know,
der
it's-
Gürtel, der hat von da bis daher hat der 2,5 mal 10 hoch 15 Lichtjahre.
and along this universe belt has 2.5 times 10 to the power of 15 light years diameter. So
Nein,
we
von da
only can
bis
reach.
daher. Das ist aber, diese Maße gelten nur nach dem Urknall. Das ist noch nicht, die sind heute noch viel größer. Das gilt nur für die Explosion nach dem Urknall.
These measurements are only valid for the time at the Big Bang. Now they're even larger than that because everything has expanded since then.
Weil nicht das alles aus.
So
Mit
you-
Lichtgeschwindigkeit.
With the speed of light, it expanded at the speed of light.
So then the other universe you talk about in terms of no communication or difficult to communicate, and how did the Pleiadians would go to the other universe and cut off from the communication? How did you do?
Wollte wissen, wie die Pleiadier dann in das Dahl-Universum kommen können, wenn da keine telepathische Verbindung besteht oder so.
So, das geschieht auf rein technischer Basis.
It's purely technical. They know how to do it. They are advanced enough to do that. They can, between the doll universe and our universe, the Pleiadians can do that, but we cannot do that. We cannot receive their messages.
Die Pleiadier haben eine eigene Technik. Die haben immer zwei Antriebe. Einen bis zur Lichtgeschwindigkeit und einen mit Überlichtgeschwindigkeit.
The Pleiadians have got two propulsion systems in such a way that the first one gets them to the speed of light and the second one takes them beyond that, and that's how they can travel.
Die fliegen bis zur Lichtgeschwindigkeit heran und dann springen sie mit x-facher Überlichtgeschwindigkeit in einen sogenannten Hyperraum.
The Pleiadians get up to the speed of light with that first propulsion system, and then with manifold speed of light, they jump into hyperspace.
Denn es gibt 7 Haupträume und jeder Hauptraum hat 7 Nebenräume. Und jeder Nebenraum hat x Dimensionen.
There are main spaces, they call it, and each space has 7, there are 7 main spaces, and they have 7 subdivisions, and each those have more times 7 smaller subdivisions again.
Isn't it true, though, that the Tao gave the Pleiadians a lot of information, technical information?
Wo wollte wissen, ob das nicht stimmt, dass das Dahl und die Leute vom Dahl-Universum haben den Pleiadiern viel technische Informationen gegeben.
Also von den Askit-Folk.
Ja, die Leute von der people from Askit, they gave the Pleiadians a lot of information.
Das Volk von Askit hat früher auch bei uns gewohnt, in unserem Universum. Die sind auch einfach ausgewandert. Was sagt sie? Sind ausgewandert.
The people of Askit's race, or group of people, they used to live on Earth, and then they migrated.
In unserem Universum.
Yeah, in our universe. They lived in our universe, and then they migrated, and they went to the doll universe.
How many universes exist other than ours and doll universe? How many universes?
Millions and billions. Der Herr wollte gerade wissen, wie viele Universen existieren?
Ich kann ihm nur sagen, wie viel jetzt schon, wie viele Schöpfungen schon ins absolute Absolutum eingegangen sind.
Aha. Also weißt du nicht, wie viele Universen sind?
Das weiß
Yeah.
niemand.
Nobody knows that. Nobody knows really the exact number. And he said many of the universes and creations have gone into the what they call the absolute absolutum, which is the end result. This is the final thing.
Isn't it true, too, that with us, we're only privileged to have 2 universes, but there can be a maximum of 7. However, with us, we're only, by chance in our system, we only have the 2.
Ja, der Bob wollte gerade wissen, stimmt es nicht, dass bis zu 7 Universen umeinander sein können? Aber wir haben, unser Zwillingsuniversum ist das wahr.
Es ist, also die Schöpfung, das kreiert entweder ein Universum oder 2, so wie hier, Ern und Dahl, bis zu 7, ja. Das stimmt.
Yeah,
das kann, aber muss nicht.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be that way, but creation creates either 1 universe, 2 universes, or a maximum of 7. And in our case, there's our universe and the doll universe, and they are touching upon, and the 2 are identical. They're like, Billy calls them the twin universes, the doll and the Dern. And but there can be as many as 7.
Und jetzt kommen wir zum Kern der Sache. So ein Schöpfungsuniversum hat also eine Schöpfung, das ist das, was die Kirche als Gott bezeichnet. Das nennen wir den Schöpfungsgeist. Die schöpferische Kraft, das ist der Schöpfungsgeist. Der sitzt hier, der sitzt da im Zentrum und hier. Diese 3 Gürtel. Aber es ist auch überall in allen anderen auch mit drin.
As our universe has what we would call a God, but in reality it is a creation. And creation is in essence in the center, in the core, but it is also in the universe and in the creational belt involved. It is there, it's everywhere. But those are all the creational energies.
Ein bisschen ist in jedem Stein, in jeder Pflanze, in jedem Tier, in jedem Menschen. Ein bisschen.
A minuscule particle of creation is in everything, in every stone, in every human being, in every plant, in every animal. So we are part of it. And
jetzt kommt der Sinn der Sache, ist, dass sich diese Schöpfung, die dieses Universum kreiert hat, die muss sich bis zur möglichst hohen Vollkommenheit entwickeln.
Okay, and the meaning of all life is to evolve and improve what you've got to the best possible, not to perfection, but the best possible attainable perfection.
Es gibt keine absolute Vollkommenheit, gibt es nicht.
There's no,
Es gibt immer nur höhere, 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 aber absolut niemals.
there is no such thing as total perfection. Nothing is completely perfect. And so we can only reach a certain degree, which is for us maybe the most we can attain.
Und jede Schöpfung muss einen langen Weg gehen bis zum absoluten Absolutum. Dieser Weg führt über 10 hoch 49 Stufen zu je 7 Schritte, sagen wir, 10 hoch 49 Schritte zu je 7 Stufen.
Each creation has to evolve continuously to attend to the power of 49 and each step out of those 10 is divided into 7 subdivisions. And so, everything has to evolve, including every creation, even though we consider that the most perfect thing there is, but even that has to evolve.
What you're saying is that where we are now, the 10 to the 49 creation?
We are not, the creation is the...
Well, okay.
Ja.
Total. Okay.
Ja. In welcher Stufe wäre jetzt zum Beispiel unsere Schöpfung? In der ersten Stufe?
Allererste, unterste Stufe.
Ai, ai, ai. Our creation is at the very bottom rank of the whole.
As far as our creation being like the God or whatever in the center of our universe, the great central sun system, as I've heard it called, what about other universes and their creation? Is there just many different creations or gods for different universes, or how does that?
Sind verschiedene Schöpfungen in jedem Universum also eine Schöpfung in jedem Universum.
One great central sun system.
Yeah, each universe has a creation.
Each one does. Let's see.
What is the position of Big Bang in his theory, in the creation theory here? How does he interpret the Big Bang theory?
Dieser Prof möchte gerne wissen, wie du zu dem Urknall stehst, wie das...
Ja, der hat stattgefunden.
It existed. That's how
Aber nicht vor 20, 30 Milliarden Jahren, sondern vor 46 Billionen Jahren.
But it did not take place 20 billion years ago, but 46 times 10 to the 12 power of 12 years.
So it's 46 trillion?
Yeah, 12 zeros at the end.
So is that a cyclic?
Ich sage nicht die Zahlen, weil in Amerika sind die ein bisschen verschieden.
Yeah.
Which part is the Big Bang? Was that the whole thing was the Big Bang, or just that our universe? I mean, within our universe, in that galaxy system, is the Big Bang. Where does the Big Bang take place?
Er wollte wissen, wo der Urknall stattfindet, ob das nur in unserem Universumsgürtel war oder
Nee, das hat angefangen von einem Floh. Das war so groß. Also der Kern, der Urkern war so klein wie ein Floh.
The original, the core, the whole thing that started was as big as a flea.
Und dann ging das eine riesen Explosion, aber das ist keine physikalische, das ist eine geistige Explosion.
It was not a physical explosion the way we know explosions, but a spiritual explosion.
Weil das eine normale physikalische Explosion könnte ja nie ein Universum in einem Bruchteil einer Sekunde so ein riesiges Universum schaffen.
Because a physical explosion could never create this gigantic universe in the split second.
Völlig ausgeschlossen.
It's impossible.
Was that talking about our universe?
Dern.
The Dern universe.
So it starts from the center of O, right? From the center to O.
Yeah.
Was that from the center, or was a local explosion?
Wollte wissen, ob das eine lokale Explosion, geistige Explosion war oder ob das wirklich im Kern von dem ganzen Universum stattfand.
Ja, vorher gab es ja kein Universum.
There was no
Es ist
universe.
nur dieser kleine Punkt, so groß wie ein Floh, der war da nicht vorhanden. Das alles ist dann entstanden. Innerhalb von Bruchteil einer Sekunde sind diese 7 Gürtel entstanden.
So 7 bells came from that tiny particle that was as big as a flea, and in split seconds, this whole thing, all 7 belts were there.
Same thing happened with the Dow
Das
universe.
gleiche ist mit dem Dahl-Universum passiert.
Same time, same thing.
Zur gleichen Zeit.
What before that?
Und was war vorher?
Same point.
Konzentrierte Punkt von Schöpfungsgeist.
And before then it was this super concentrated spirit of creation, energy, this spirit energy.
Would that be considered where the point before
Und jetzt wollen wir wahrscheinlich wissen, was war vorher.
Yeah. Excuse me, Guido is just going to show you what was before.
Okay, very good. Excellent. Second page.
Page 2. Also angefangen hat es mit dem sogenannten absoluten Nicht. Darüber kann ich nicht viel sagen. Das kann nicht mal die Schöpfung weiß da sehr viel darüber.
Even creation doesn't know a whole lot about this, what was exactly before, but it is called the absolute nothing.
Dann kam nach langer Zeit, das ist eine unendlich lange Zeit, das wissen die Plejadier nicht, wie lange, entstand die erste Ur-Idee.
And there was an infinitely endless long time, and even the Pleiadians don't know how long that time was that passed. But then came idea.
Und dann
and from there,
wurde daraus die erste Schöpfung.
And from that came the creation.
Die hat sich selber entwickelt zur ersten Urschöpfung.
And then from there it itself evolved to become the Urschöpfung.
Ja, und die hat jetzt hier eine neue Schöpfung kreiert.
And from there it created a new creation.
Und das geht jetzt so weiter. Die muss sich dann entwickeln zur Urschöpfung. Und das geht dann so weiter zur Zentralschöpfung über 10 hoch 49 Stufen.
And then once this creation has evolved again into an creation, and it goes on and on and on at 10 to the power of 49. And then eventually it'll be the absolute absolutum after a long time.
The way it was described to me was that there is a...
Und ich sage noch was. Es sind dieser Weg von hier bis zum Absolutum haben so viele Schöpfungen bereits hinter sich.
Oh.
Und diese Zahl ist zum ersten Mal genannt worden, weil Billy und ich gefragt haben. Die Plejadier haben es nicht gewusst, die Plejadier haben zum Arahat-Ebene, die Arahat-Ebene hat es nicht gewusst, deswegen bis hinauf zu den Zahlen. Die haben das erste Mal diese Zahl durchgegeben, erste Mal.
The figure Guido has just put there, that 7.3 times 10 to the power of 701,392 is the number of creations that have already reached the absolute absolutum. They have already reached the total perfection. And neither the Pleiadians knew it, and then they went to the next higher, to the Arahat Atasata level. They didn't know it, so they went to the Pital level, and they finally figured it out, and then they handed it back down again, and then Billy and Guido had been nagging to find out what that number is, and then finally they were allowed to mark down that number. And this is just so tremendously...
Yeah.
Und jetzt...
Then you start all over.
And you start over.
And then you start all over, yeah. Und dann fängst du von vorne an. für die anderen Schöpfungen.
Nee, die sind ja dann im Absoluten.
Nein, aber die anderen Schöpfungen.
Ja.
And all the other
so
creations,
weiter,
they continue
so
on
weiter,
and on until they reach that also.
Would the absolutum be considered like a sleep period?
Ist das Absolutum wie eine Schlafpause, eine Ruhepause?
Das ist die höchste Schöpfungsform, die allerhöchste Schöpfungsform. Die sind immer im Wachzustand.
it is the highest form of creational level, and they are always awake. They don't. That is not the resting period. I know you're talking about something. You're sprechen von der Schlaf.
That's after every seventh hour.
Isn't that what's understood? Isn't that what's understood as the ultimate love? Right? Is when we reach that absolute.
Die absolute Absolutum
is the ultimate love.
Sarah wollte gerade wissen, ob das Absolutum ist die höchste Liebe, die reinste Liebe, ja. Purest love. Purest love, yeah. Perfection.
Aber auch nicht ganz absolut.
But even that is not totally perfect.
Noch höher Evolution.
You can still evolve from there.
Oh my God.
When you die and you feel that peace of love, where are you floating around?
In our universe.
Das ist jetzt die Schlummer- und die Wachperiode, ja?
Ja.
Also unsere Schöpfung. Ja?
Our creation.
Wir sind jetzt da in der Wachperiode, da sind wir jetzt drin. Die dauert ein kosmisches Jahr. Das ist 311 Billionen, 40 Milliarden Jahre. Dauert das.
Okay. At this point, our creation is in the awake state, which is the W, and that lasts for one cosmic year, which is 311.040 times 12 to the power of 12.
Das ist das erste Universum, das die Schöpfung kreiert hat.
This is the first universe this creation has created.
Jetzt legt sich diese wieder in den Schlummer, ja, kommt wieder eine Schlummerperiode. Und die dauert dann 7-mal so lange wie die Zeit hier, mal 7 das da.
And then once these 311.04 times 10 to the 12 power of 12, once that has been finalized, then comes the sleeping period, and that lasts 7 times that long.
Und dann kommt aus der Schlummerperiode kommt wieder die Idee für das zweite Universum.
And from that slumber period, or whatever you want to call that rest period, comes the idea for the next universe.
Aber das ist dann schon nicht mehr so grobstofflich. Das ist schon viel feiner.
The next universe that is being created at that time is not as coarse, the matter is not as coarse as what we've got now. It will be already finer.
Und dann gibt das jetzt 7. Also drittes Universum, immer mal 7. Die Zeit ist immer mal 7. Viertes Universum mal 7, immer mal 7. Und das sind 7 solche Stufen. Und dann kommen wir zur Urschöpfung.
Once all those 7 times 7, all those steps have gone through, then you come into the Ur-creation.
Und dann, die kreiert dann wieder eine Schöpfung. Oder eine, oder 2, oder 3, oder vielleicht 7. Yeah. Und dann geht es wieder so weiter. Das ist immer derselbe Weg.
It's always the same routine, and once the Ur-creation then has created 1 or as many as 7 universes, the whole thing starts again. Creation.
Und jetzt komme ich aber noch zum wichtigsten Punkt.
The most important point.
Wir sind also jetzt da drin.
This is where we are at this point.
Da drin. Und wir müssen uns jetzt evolutionieren von unten über 7 Hauptstufen.
And we must evolve
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
We must evolve over 7 major steps.
Ja. Und nur mit Hilfe des menschlichen Geistes kann sich die Schöpfung höher evolutionieren.
And it is only with the assistance of human spirit that creation can evolve itself.
Und wir brauchen zu diesem Weg 60 bis 80 Milliarden Jahre, bis wir keinen Körper mehr brauchen.
We need 60 to 80 trillion years in order to not require a material body anymore.
We'd miss it.
Von diesem Punkt an Wir brauchen keinen Körper mehr, wenn wir da oben sind.
Once we have reached this step there, which is the bottom of the seventh, we don't need any material body.
Und wir sind noch da ziemlich weit da unten.
And right now this is where we are.
No need for medical insurance.
Die Pleiadier, die sind schon da.
This is where the Pleiadians are.
Die sind schon da oben. Und aber das ist noch nicht das Ende. Dann dauert es nochmal etwa 7 mal ungefähr 70 Milliarden Jahre bis zum Ende.
And then it takes another 7 times 70 trillion years before it is the end.
Und dann sind wir in der Schöpfung, im Schöpfungsgeist.
Then we are in the
Dann haben
creational.
wir es geschafft.
Then we have reached the goal, and then we are at the end of this creational belt.
No, we're a
Do we
kindergarten.
recreate?
Und dann werden wir neu
Dann sind
geschaffen.
dann sind wir ein Teil des Schöpfungsgeistes.
Then we become a part of the creational spirit.
We're at the bottom step now then?
No, not the bottom, the second one, roughly.
So because when
third,
people,
fourth round,
people
round.
often say that we're, so many of us here on the planet now are so billions of years old, that's like a baby number then compared to where we're going, even though we're already billions of years old. God. Yeah, I know, I feel like a baby again.
Eine der untersten Stufen und dann, also das ist wie ein Baby, das ist ganz Anfang an.
Also nicht ganz unten.
Nicht ganz, we're on the second, auf der
Wir
zweiten
sind schon also 1, 2, 3 da in der dritten Stufe, kann man sagen.
Oh ja.
Sind diese Leute hier, ja.
What? These
Aber
people-
nicht alle.
Yeah.
Nicht alle draußen.
Not everybody outside, but Guido feels that many of the people here are already sort of like on the third step.
Third step.
Das sind aber dann 7 Nebenstufen.
And then from that there are 7 side layers, side steps.
Und Billy ist hier.
Billy is here now.
Just below the Pleiadians. I see. And then we're like one down from that, a lot of us.
Yeah, but remember there are 7 side
Er ist
steps.
genau
It's
in
times
der
7
Mitte
each, yeah.
zwischen den Pleiadiern und uns.
Okay.
Und deshalb kann er diese Mission durchführen.
And the whole reason why Billy is able to fulfill that mission that he was given is because he is in the middle between the Pleiadian intelligence and us. And so he is the one that has to do this job.
Und er hilft uns, damit wir in dieser Evolution schneller vorankommen.
And his task is to help us to evolve faster than we normally would if we didn't have somebody like him around. Guido, da war eine Frage hier. Wenn wir jetzt sterben, wo sind wir dann?
Ja, wenn wir sterben, dann sind wir in einer Dimension um die Erde rum. Das ist der 7. Nebengürtel um die Erde rum im Jenseits. Das ist um die Erde rum, als Geist, in geistiger Form.
Aber immer noch im Universumsgürtel.
Ja,
weil
ja,
wir Erde-
das war noch bei der Erde noch.
Yeah, wir sind dabei. Okay, so the question was asked in all those circles that we were shown with the universe and all this. Where are we if we die? Well, when we die, not if, but when we die. If we would be as a spirit form floating around the earth in a belt called the 7th belt around the earth. As a spirit form.
Then what?
For how long?
Until you're reincarnated.
Or reincarnation?
So wie lange bleibst du da, bis du wieder reinkarniert? Yeah, until you're reincarnated.
So that's like the etheric energy, and then that's like the etheric or whatever they call that energy that surrounds the earth
Also ist es
or the universe.
Also, no, the earth.
Okay.
Not the universe, the earth. Also ist es eine ätherische Energie, die um die Erde ist, oder wie wird? Yeah, a spiritual energy.
In between lifetimes or whatever. Then what happens if you say, I mean, because I've heard people say, well, this is my last lifetime here, so then what happens then? No one knows, you just go.
Also, das ist jetzt meine letzte Inkarnation, von da an geht jetzt dann, was passiert?
Unsinn, totaler Unsinn.
Total balderdash.
So that's,
They wouldn't know
that
it,
doesn't
that
happen
they're
until, in other words, go to
Also
the
würden
last
Sie das
one.
nicht wissen, dass Sie jetzt in der letzten Inkarnation sind und so.
So it,
Kann man sehen?
Also jetzt wissen Sie, warum uns Billy hilft, damit wir schneller vorankommen und wir können Ihre Fragen stellen.
Okay. If you would like to now, we can ask questions, and I've got the questions already written down. If you want to, we can proceed with that. Okay. Also wir haben noch einige Fragen hier. One question was, how old is the universe? We now know, so we can forget about this. What events are transpiring between Semjase and Billy currently? Bitte beschreiben Sie die Kontakte zwischen Semjase und Billy, die im Moment stattfinden. Also wir wissen, dass da keine stattfinden. Und
Das hat er schon beantwortet.
Ja.
Michael hat das schon beantwortet. Die befindet sich jetzt zur Erholung noch 60 Jahre etwa im Dahl-Universum.
Well, the answer to this is that first of all, Billy and Semjase are not having any contacts at all now because Semjase is in the Dahl universe, cannot communicate with him, and consequently there is no contact. And the only one that is having contact at this point is Ptah, who is Semjase's father. Please describe.
Aber ich möchte ihn gerne wieder mal sehen. Deshalb wird er dann demnächst mal besucht werden.
And because Semjase would really like to see Billy again, because she hasn't seen him for quite a few years, and she will still be there to recuperate from her accident for another 60 years, roughly. And because of that, she would like to fix it so that he can come there. And that's why they have developed this technology, which is not finalized yet. And please, bitte beschreiben Sie die Kontakte, die jetzt kürzlich stattfinden oder in den letzten Jahren stattgefunden haben, wenn Sie das beschreiben dürfen, uns zu sagen.
Ja, wie das stattfindet.
Nein, ich glaube, was gesagt.
Die letzten 2 Kontakte waren im Januar, Februar dieses Jahres. Ja.
The last contacts that Billy had were in January and February of this year.
Das war mit Ptah. Ptah ist der Oberaufseher von 3 Planeten und ist ein Ischwisch.
Yeah. Ptah, as I mentioned, is the father of Semjase, and he is a supervisor, so to speak, of 3 different planets, and he is what they call an Ishwish, which we probably would call a god, but he is a king of wisdom. And so I don't know quite who wrote this. It says, please describe the contacts that are recent.
Wenn er also zum Kontakt kommt, dann fliegt er mit seinem Schiff von den Plejaden in die Schweiz, dann lässt er sein Schiff über dem Haus schweben, das wird abgeschirmt und dann teleportiert er sich in Billys Büro. Das ist wie das Beamen
When the contacts take place now, Ptah comes with the spaceship and he hovers the spaceship above the building of the center. It is totally screened off so that nobody can see it, and he is literally, just like in Starship Enterprise, he's beamed into Billy's office. I've been in the office, I didn't see anyone, but I've seen the office. It's a small office, and then when he's done, he's beamed up again and he flies away.
Also da gibt es sehr viele Zeugen, die das gesehen haben, wie Billy gebeamt wurde, zum Beispiel von einem Dach. Da war er plötzlich verschwunden. Ich habe es auch mal gesehen, wie er über ein Schneefeld gelaufen ist und dann war er plötzlich weg.
Guido said there have been quite a few witnesses who saw when Billy was being beamed up. One time he was beamed up from the roof of the center because they were working on it, and he was gone. And Guido has seen him walking across a field with snow, and he was gone, and that was it. So does that answer the question of, please describe the contacts that are recent, if you are at liberty to speak about them? Does that answer your question?
Ich kann jetzt nicht alles erklären, was da alles besprochen wurde. Also der wichtigste Punkt war über die Überbevölkerung. Overpopulation. Das ist das Allerwichtigste.
Guido said he cannot point out all the different things that are being discussed because some of those contacts are hours of discussions. But he said...
Workshop habe ich ja einiges gesagt.
Yeah, in the workshop Guido already was explaining some of the points on health and things like that have been discussed over the last few contacts. But the most important point is definitely overpopulation. That is the #1 worry and concern for the Pleiadians and for Billy to get the material out to the people to realize that we are already 10 times overpopulated of what we should be in numbers. Gibt es das haben wir Billy schon gesagt, dass wir 10-mal so viele Menschen auf der Welt haben, wie es sein sollten, sein dürften, damit wir gesund und glücklich leben können. It's 10 times the amount of population for us to survive healthily and happily and in good spirits. Okay?
Question on that. How is that calculated?
Wie wurde das ausgerechnet? Für pro Quadratmeter oder wie?
Ja, genau kann ich nicht sagen. Also pro Planet wird das ausgerechnet. Also für jeden Planet extra. Ja. Aber wie, das weiß ich.
Yeah. Guido doesn't know how exactly it is being calculated, but they take the land surface of every planet, and according to that they say, well, on this planet there should be that many people to have that much space to live and to grow their food and all this, and that's how they have figured out that we are 10 times what we should be. And their planet is about the same size as ours, Era.
Aber die wissen das genau, weil sie haben genau denselben Planeten, also genau in derselben Größe, und sie haben auch nur 500 Millionen Bevölkerung.
On Era, they have 525 million people as a population, and so they figure this is a healthy number, and we are almost identical in size, so we should have roughly the same to live in the...
Aber sie hatten früher dieselben Probleme wie wir und geben uns jetzt die Richtlinien, die Direktiven, wie wir das abschaffen können, weil die haben Erfahrung damit. Bloß wollen die Leute das partout nicht hören. Die fühlen sich selber persönlich angegriffen.
The Pleiadians had the identical problems that we are having now with overpopulation, and because of that, because they already evolved beyond our limit, they know what's going to happen, and they feel they're trying to warn us so that we won't have to experience what they had to go through. And that's why they're giving us all the advice and all the guidelines. But people on Earth now feel that they know everything, and they just do not want to learn. And
wenn ich bei einem Vortrag dieses Thema erwähne, dann sind in der Diskussion, dann sind immer welche, die stehen entrüstet auf und verlassen gut entbrannten Saal.
Guido is in Deutschland, in Europa. When he's holding his lectures in Europe and he points out the overpopulation program, he said, problem, there are always people that get up in anger and walk out. They just do not want to hear about it. They do not want to...
Ohne Diskussion.
Yeah,
nur wenn sie es gehört haben.
Yeah, they only were listening to what he had to say. They don't want to discuss about it. They don't want to see, well, why are they saying this? And they don't want to hear. They get up and they walk out. They do not want to listen. And unfortunately, there are a lot of people...
Die Maßnahmen sind natürlich schon ziemlich hart.
Yeah. And the guidelines are very strict, and a lot of people say...
7 Jahre strikter Geburtsstopp für alle.
Yeah. One of the first step is 7 years of stop of birth.
Ein Jahr Erlaubnis, aber auch nur für solche, die das richtige Alter haben. Ne? Das ist vorgeschrieben, für den Mann 33. Dann müssen sie gesund sein, sie müssen eine gute Ehe führen, sie dürfen nicht krank sein und so. Und dann nur höchstens 3, das maximal 3 Kinder.
Yeah, there are maximum 3 children, and the husband, they have to be married already for several years. They have to prove that they are responsible adults that can raise children, and maximum 3 children. And they have to prove that they're healthy, that they have no addictions to drugs and things like that, and that they're mentally healthy. And then they are allowed to try to create a child for 1 year, after 7 years of no children at all. And then they can try again. And then
das so lange, bis dann eben die richtige Zahl erreicht ist. Das kann, wenn das alles jetzt sofort durchgeführt würde, hat Billy jetzt kürzlich vor ein paar Wochen ausgerechnet, dann würde das etwa 100 Jahre dauern, bis wir nur zur Hälfte gekommen sind.
If we followed those rules, those guidelines, right now, if we started right now, it would take us about 100 years to have only half of the population that we should be down to. We would have reduced it by 50%. So
at the rate we're going.
Well, if we start following their rules right now, so it shows that if every day that is wasted is going to propel us more into overpopulation.
Und wenn die Menschen das nicht akzeptieren wollen, und das wollen sie nicht, dann wird sich die Natur selber rächen in Form von Naturkatastrophen, gewaltigen Ausmaßes, die immer mehr zunehmen, von Seuchen, Krankheiten und so weiter und so fort.
And if people don't want to listen, and they don't, then nature is going to revenge itself by fighting back through tremendous natural catastrophes and epidemics of immense extents. Is AIDS part of that? Is AIDS and Teil davon?
So what about all the souls floating around waiting to be reincarnated?
Sorry, what was it? And what about?
All the souls waiting to be reincarnated. They're gonna wait to 10 trillion years now. They're gonna have to wait 20 trillion years to get back into the body.
Ja, dann wäre es sozusagen, dass die ganzen Seelen, die jetzt da irgendwo um die Erde rumschwirren, die da jetzt wieder reinkarniert werden wollen, die müssen dann, they will have to wait.
Im Jenseits spielt die Zeit überhaupt keine Rolle. Da spielen 1000 Jahre, da spielen 10.000 Jahre überhaupt keine Rolle, weil man im Jenseits keine Zeitempfindung hat.
Yeah. If you're in the beyond, you know, going around the earth in that spirit energy layer there, time means nothing. So 1,000 years, 10,000 years, 10 million years means absolutely nothing. And because of that, because you don't have the sensation of time, so it doesn't matter. But they have to wait.
What do you have the sensation of?
What do I have?
No, what does Canadians say? What does one in that state? Any sensation at all?
Hat man irgendwelche Gefühle,
electricity?
wenn man dann in diesem Jenseits wartet oder so? Hat man irgendwelche Empfindungen oder?
Empfindungen, nur Empfindungen.
Only sensation, only feelings.
Das sind keine, wie wir sie kennen. Das ist ein geistiger Vorgang.
It's a spiritual feeling you have. It's not like our feelings the way we feel them now.
There's no thinking involved.
Denken diese Seelen?
Die müssen das, was sie gespeichert haben in ihrem Leben, müssen sie verarbeiten. Das ist der Sinn der Sache. Weil man hier zu wenig Zeit hat, für das richtig zu verarbeiten. Man muss Geld verdienen und so weiter.
The purpose is of being in the beyond is to digest what you have learned on earth, because while we are on earth we don't have enough time to learn all the things we should be learning. So that's why all those things are being stored in the Akashic records, and then in der Akasha Chronik werden diese ganzen Gefühle und die ganzen
Aber deshalb haben alle Leute praktisch umsonst gelebt, wenn sie nicht auf der Erde sich bemühen, geistig weiterzuentwickeln. Dann ist das Leben umsonst gewesen, völlig umsonst.
If you don't try to evolve spiritually in your lifetime, you have lived in vain, because this is your task. You have to do this, and if you don't do it, you've lived for nothing. It's in vain, and so that's why it's.
Also für die Evolution bringt es nicht.
Ja,
wenn er nicht lernt, dann kann er nicht verarbeiten. Also muss er schnell wieder kommen.
Yeah, because if you have not learned anything, if you have not evolved, then you have got nothing to digest when you're in the state of being in that beyond.
So in other words, most people are drift for no reason whatsoever.
Quite so. Sagt, also es sind sozusagen die meisten Leute, die schwirren da bloß rum und haben, ja.
Die meisten, die reichen Leute, weil denen geht's gut. Was sagen, was soll ich? Mir geht's gut, was soll ich?
Guido is saying most of the people who would be in that state that you just mentioned are rich people, because they say, I'm doing well, I've got everything I want, why should I worry about anything else? There's nothing else to attain, so that's fine with me.
So what consists of learning? Mostly spiritual learning? What about scientific knowledge or arts or stock market? Is that a part of the learning or not?
Ist Lernen über Kunst, über die Börse oder über technische Sachen, ist das auch ein Teil des Lernens? It's very important too.
Ja, nicht aber auch wichtig.
Aber das geistige Lernen ist auch wichtig.
Das Wichtige, das Geistige ist wichtig. Aber das Materielle ist auch wichtig.
Yeah, the material studies and learning is also important, but the spiritual evolution, the spiritual learning is the most important. So all the other things are part of it, but that is being allowed.
Das sind die schöpferischen Gesetze und Gebote,
The creative laws and
die
commandments,
Direktiven, wie man leben muss
the directives of how to live,
und so weiter.
and all the different things.
What about people who have serious diseases like cancer and AIDS and they commit suicide? Now, are their souls with the other ones that die a normal death?
Die Frage ist, wenn jemand eine schwere Krankheit hat, zum Beispiel Krebs oder AIDS oder so, und die begehen Selbstmord, wo würden dann ihre Seelen sein? Wären die dann im Jenseits mit den anderen um die Erde?
Die kommen auch ins Jenseits und da gibt es auch wiederum 7 Stufen, je nachdem, auf welcher Hauptstufe man sich befindet.
Wenn man stirbt.
Ja, kommt man auch in die entsprechende Jenseitsstufe hinein.
So those people who have died or by committing suicide, they would wind up in the same area where they, whatever level they were on Earth, they would wind up. There are 7 steps in the beyond as well. They would wind up on the equivalent step in the beyond, and then they would just hover around or whatever, float around until it's time again.
So they're not punished, or it's not horrible to get suicide the way you've been taught?
Werden diese Seelen bestraft für den Selbstmord?
Ja, sie werden nur insofern bestraft, weil sie die Zeit, die sie verloren haben, also wenn jemand jetzt mit 30 einen Selbstmord begeht und er hätte 70 Jahre alt werden müssen, dann hat er ja 40 Jahre verloren in seinem Lernen. Und das muss er nachholen.
Guido was saying he's not being, or he or she is not being punished per se, like we say about going to hell and all this, but he is or she is punished in as much that, for instance, if somebody at 30 commits suicide and should have lived to be 70, he has or she has lost 40 years that should have been used to learn new things, but they've lost that. So they have to come back to the next incarnation and make up for those 40 years they have lost previous time.
Kommt aber schon noch was dazu. Da kommt dann 7 mal 30, das sind also 210 Inkarnationen, wird er immer wieder mit dem ganz kurzfristig konfrontiert.
Ja.
Damit man weiß, jetzt hat er es gelernt, dass er sich nicht mehr selber umbringt. Also er wird dann immer wieder damit konfrontiert.
Also 210, was für Inkarnationen?
210 Inkarnationen.
And for 210 incarnations, that one person will be confronted again and again for 210 incarnations with that same thing, just briefly, but to remind him, you're not supposed to commit suicide. And then just to see whether that person has, in the meantime, learned that it is a no-no.
210?
210, yeah. Because it's 30 times 7.
Okay, so what's the quickest way? You find a Zen master? Is that about as close as you're going to get, or what?
Was ist der schnellste Weg, geistig zu lernen und zu evolutionieren?
Möglichst viel von den Schriften zu lesen und zu studieren. Lesen allein genügt nicht, Schriften studieren, die schöpferischen Gesetze und Gebote. Dann jeden Tag meditieren.
To meditate daily and to read as many of the texts on the creational laws and things like that. Aber dann sagen die natürlich, ja, die sind ja alle in Deutsch. Haben die natürlich wieder den Nachteil, gell? And I was saying, you guys are going to have the disadvantage because they're all in German.
Müssen halt schauen, dass möglichst viele Schriften übersetzt werden ins Englische.
Yeah. It's super important that the translations proceed as fast as it can be done, so that the correct one and authorized translations, okay? So that people can learn from it as fast as possible and read them and study them and meditate daily.
Können wir unsere kleine Gruppe kann das nicht alles alleine machen. Du weißt ja, ich habe mein Buch auch selber finanzieren müssen, also auf
Guido is saying that their little group in Switzerland just cannot afford to do all those translations. It costs a lot of money to print the material and get it out, and that's why it is important that when the translations are authorized by Billy, that people find themselves to print it. He said darf ich das sagen mit Neku? Guido had to finance his own book, and it cost him 60,000 marks just to have that printed because There are a lot of publishers who are not interested or don't want to take the risk. So it costs a lot of money, and it's very tedious, very slow, but things are progressing.
So we're supposed to be fundraising? Is that what we're supposed to be doing here?
To help in the best way anybody can. That is the idea. And some people
Different ways.
come to the meetings and contribute whatever. You know, it's up to you. People go over there to help on the farm, but they have quite a few people helping on the farm now physically. So they say, you know, really.
Stay away. Certainly, finances are a major.
The finances are a major.
Yeah, it's a major hold.
A major. That's the main problem.
But they're just as happy if you will. You can choose to do either one. You don't have to. If you don't have money, they're just as happy to have your help. I mean, it's equal to them.
Oh yeah, no, it's purely voluntary. You know, nobody will force anyone, but they need help in physical, in the garden. It's a working farm, and financial. Those two things are the big importance. Wenn du gesagt, ja, also dann heißt es, der Herr hat gesagt, dann heißt es so quasi, dass wir sollen Geld schicken oder Geld sammeln oder so. Er hat gesagt, ja, ihr könnt mithelfen, persönlich oder
freiwillig was machen will. Wir machen das auch alles freiwillig.
Yeah. They also do everything voluntarily over there. They contribute most of their salary towards the mission and towards the repairs that have to be done and things like that. So it's totally voluntary. Whoever feels that they want to do it, great. You know, they can use every hand and every dollar. Ich habe gesagt, sie können jede Hand und jeden Dollar brauchen. So, do you want to? Okay. Next question. How do the Pleiadians control their population? We've spoken about that. They get married. Men are allowed not before 33 years of age, and then they have to prove for 3 years that they are responsible parents, possible parents, and then 3 children. How is their social structure designed? Who is in control? Wie ist ihre Sozialstruktur entworfen oder aufgebaut, und wer ist in Kontrolle? Wer ist der Oberste?
Ja, also sie haben eine Zentralregierung, die ist aber außerhalb von diesem Planeten.
Aha.
Das ist der sogenannte Hohe Rat, und da holen sie sich eben, wie es der Name heißt, guten Rat. Wir müssen das aber nicht befolgen können.
Yeah. The Pleiadians have on another planet what they call the High Council, and the High Council, they don't have their own government as we know it as a government, but the High Council gives advice, but the Pleiadians do not have to take and accept it and follow the advice. It's up to them, it's up to their own decisions to say, yeah, that sounds good, or no, we don't want to do it. It's their own decision, just like our decisions are, it's for the same thing, yeah. Also es ist vollkommen freiwillig, was die überdenken das dann und besprechen diese Ratschläge. Yeah. They just discuss the decisions or advice that is given, guidelines, and if they feel that it is good for them, then they will follow it.
Wir haben auch uns schon, unserer Gruppe schon sehr viele Ratschläge gegeben.
Via the Pleiadians and Billy, the High Council has already given quite a few pieces of advice to the group in Switzerland.
Ja, und dann gibt es über 3000 sogenannte Geistführer. Das sind aber Menschen, die sind sehr mit sehr hohem Wissen. Die sind fast so hoch wie ein Ischwisch fast. Da kann jedermann da hingehen und sich einen guten Rat holen.
Und wir sind auf Era?
Ja, ja.
On Era they have got 3,000 spiritual leaders or guides, and those people are human beings just like the Pleiadians are, but they are endowed with a very high knowledge, and anybody on Era can go to them for advice.
Nicht zu verwechseln mit den Geistführern. Hier auf der Erde sprechen viele Leute, die meinen, sie hätten da einen geistlichen Führer, der sie lenkt und führt. Das ist irreal.
Guido said it is not to be mixed up with when on earth people say, oh, I've got a spiritual guide up there. It is not the same thing. It is unrealistic and misleading. Their spiritual guides are really seriously very far advanced.
Flesh, they go talk to them physically.
Yes.
What about spiritual guides? so to speak.
möchte
Guardian
wissen,
angels, whatever.
ja, wenn wir auf der Erde hier von wegen den geistigen Führern hier sprechen und Schutzengel und solche Sachen.
Schutzengel gibt es überhaupt nicht.
There's no such thing as guardian angels,
Das
it's
sind
nonsense.
Wunschträume, das sind Kinderträume.
They are dreams like children have. We don't
Aber die Leute wollen immer etwas haben, wo sie glauben, der hilft mir. Das ist ein imaginärer Gott, den es nicht gibt. Und das sind Schutzengel und sind Heilige und so weiter und so. Geistführer, ja.
People on earth always want to lean on something that is somewhere, it's imaginary, but that goes for what we call the God or guardian angels or any of those kind of figures or saints and all this, and we just sort of, well, they'll let us know what we should know, and we don't want to take responsibility for our own
Man kann schon Hilfe anrufen, das ist die Geistform, die da drin steckt im Körper und auch dann natürlich die Schöpfung. Den Schöpfungsgeist kann man schon um Hilfe anrufen, ja, aber das ist eben nicht ein imaginärer Gott.
You can call upon your own spiritual guide that is in here, or you can call upon creation, which is not the same thing. It is there, but you can call for help.
Aber die Schöpfung kreiert nur die Geistformen und dann kümmert sie sich überhaupt nicht mehr darum.
Once the spirit form has been created, creation does not normally worry about what is going on. It's your own decisions you're making, and it's up to you. There's somebody out there, Cheryl. It's Paige, you know your friend?
Not my friend.
Well, you know,
I'm calling him my friend.
No, but you know, the guy you've
The
already
guy.
talked to several times. He went to the right.
There he is, he went that way again.
I just know him a little bit. His name is Robert.
Yeah, Robert.
So when some of us have experiences where,
Cheryl.
say,
Robert Gordon.
see, some people have said a guardian angel told them to go in different directions, or they saw their angel.
Yeah.
Is it our own higher self manifested this experience so that we wouldn't be frightened?
Okay. Cheryl möchte gerne wissen, wenn Menschen dann ein Erlebnis haben, wo sie zum Beispiel vor einem Unfall bewahrt werden und so, sie haben das Gefühl, jemand hat ihnen was eingesagt. Wer wäre das?
Das kommt dann von innen raus, das ist eine Intuition, die vom eigenen Geist kommt.
It's an intuition that comes from your own spirit. Your own spirit tells you to warn you, or from the subconscious.
Okay.
How are their conflicts resolved? I mean, do they have wars or what happens? Or do they have other races that want to take over?
You mean specifically on Era?
Yeah.
Die Plejadier, haben die immer noch Kriege oder wie lösen die ihre Probleme, ihre Konflikte?
Die Plejadier haben erstens seit 50.000 Jahren keinen Krieg mehr gehabt.
For 50,000 years they have not had.
50.
Yeah, 50. For 50,000 years they have not had any wars.
Und sie sagen, wir hätten zum Beispiel, ich gebe jetzt ein Beispiel mit Jugoslawien, ja, dieser blutige Krieg, der nur geführt wird, um zu morden, um zu töten, das ist kein richtiger Krieg mehr. Da hätten wir sofort das machen müssen, was die Plejadier schon immer gemacht haben. Da brauchen wir eine multinationale Friedenstruppe und die besteht aus ein paar Millionen Mann von sämtlichen Ländern der Erde. Die müssen sofort hart eingreifen. Das innerhalb von wenigen Stunden wird das sofort im Keim ersticken.
The Pleiadians have found that what works the best for them, and they feel that it would work on Earth too, is if some conflicts such as in Yugoslavia arise, they would have a peace combat troop which consists of members like a million people from all different nations all around the world, and they would just come in there and just resolve the thing on the spot and suppress it, nip it in the bud before it escalates the way it has. It's stuff like that they don't have anymore.
die müssen dann auch als Polizeitruppe wirken, die müssen gegen Drogen vorgehen, gegen die Kriminalität und gegen all diese Dinge müssten genauso scharf durchgreifen.
Also würden die eine Zeit lang da bleiben und dann wieder abziehen, solange es braucht. Ja. And those people would then remain in that country as long as it is necessary, and also police drug problems and other things until everything is cleaned up, and then they would be withdrawn again. But they would have to just go in and...
Da müsste man sich nicht fürchten, wenn man nachts auf die Straße geht. Solche Dinge würden dann mit einem Schlage ad acta gelegt.
And you wouldn't have to be afraid to walk alone at night, because they wouldn't have that problem anymore. And so, sie gesagt, ja, aber diese Leute könnten ja dann umgebracht werden, wenn sie in diesem Land als Friedenskampftruppe sind. Yeah. I was asking the question that you had alluded to before about, well, they could get shot or could get killed when they're there. And he said, yeah, that's the risk they're taking. It's like a soldier of sorts.
So it hasn't evolved any higher than technically.
Pardon?
I mean, so the solution is still the same thing, killing. Yeah?
Peters sagt, also ist mehr oder weniger die Lösung immer noch das gleiche wie bei uns jetzt, Leute umbringen sozusagen.
The Lösung.
That's to prevent.
So you're saying that if the combat troops would go into Yugoslavia, for instance, in essence they would still be killing just. Sie sagen, also wenn dann diese Friedenskampftruppe zum Beispiel nach Jugoslawien einwandern würde, dann wäre das im Prinzip das Gleiche wie Soldaten, die nach Somalien gehen oder so irgendwo hin und dann Leute umbringen.
Die müssen einfach für Ruhe und Ordnung sorgen. Und zwar mit Gewalt. Es geht nicht anders als mit Gewalt.
Guido said, unfortunately, there is no other way than through force. There is no other way. So they would have to go in, and those people have to learn to live peacefully side by side. And if it means shooting some people, so be it.
Das sieht man ja am besten bei diesen jugoslawischen Führern. Die lassen sich ja nicht belehren, die gehen aufs Nichts ein. Da kann man drohen, so viel man will, das ist denen egal. Das ist vollkommen egal. Die machen weiter, gerade wie sie wollen. Kann man nur mit Gewalt, kann man sie zwingen. Das ist der einzige Weg.
Guido is saying with the leaders in Yugoslavia, there is no other way. They've tried to talk to them, they've tried everything, and nobody will listen. And so with force, unfortunately, we are still at that primitive stage where we have to be taught in that manner.
Das heißt, im Gesetz nennt man das die logische Gewalt. Die ist dann nicht verboten. Es heißt zwar schon, du darfst nicht töten, ja, aber in so einem Fall muss man mehr Unheil dadurch verhindern. Und da muss auch Tote, da gibt es auch Tote. Ja.
Also das Gesetz ist ein schöpferisches Gesetz.
Also ein schöpferisches Gesetz.
Ja.
Und wir meinen immer, wir sind viel zu verweichlicht und haben einen falschen Humanismus.
We have a false sense of humanitarianism. You have to use force to get people to listen. And the creative law states that you should not kill. But in this case, you would be going in to prevent further misery and ills. And so in that respect, it is permissible to do that, to eradicate these problems.
In the name of peace, yeah.
In the name of peace. To create peace, you have to use force.
Now, is that just for the primitive world that we live in, or are you talking about Pleiadians? I mean, do the Pleiadians have something? Is their evolution higher? I mean, do they do something?
50,000 years ago, they had to do that.
But what do they do now? If, say, someone would give them problems, or someone within that realm would just have
Or why don't
problems.
they do that to us? Why don't they tell us to knock it
That's
off?
exactly what I'm saying.
Why
How do
don't
they
the
do it
Pleiadians,
with
if
other
that's
than
okay,
force? What other
why
things?
don't the Pleiadians put their foot down and tell us to stop fighting?
They don't have the right to do that, but I'll ask.
It's our playground.
Yeah,
But you see what I'm saying?
it's
But
our
they're
own
saying
decisions,
it's
our
okay
own
for us to do it
evolution. We have to learn that this is a smarter way of doing it, but we're not at that point. Die Paige hat gesagt, und die Sharon hat ihm zusammen gesagt, warum kommen dann die Pleiadier und sagen, wacht mal auf mit eurem Quatsch da und lernt es. Und ich gesagt, wir müssen das, und das ist unsere Entscheidung. Yeah, it's our decision to learn this material. And that's why,
We might not do
well, then so be it. Then we're going to eradicate ourselves.
Wenn die Kinder,
Paige, sorry, what was the last thing you were saying still about
I was wondering if
how do they do
yeah,
it?
since they are evolved and they wouldn't settle the way we do with force.
Yeah, how would they do
When
it?
they must have problems. There's no perfection.
Yeah.
They must have problems at some point. What do they do to? I mean, somebody could be ill. I mean, or have a problem. Then how are they subdued? Is there a technology that they use to subdue people that is not forceful, or what do they do to resolve their conflicts?
Okay, wie gesagt, ja, aber die müssen ja, die Plejadien müssen ja auch ihre Konflikte haben und so. Und wie lösen die dann diese Konflikte, die sie haben? Ob das auch dann noch mit Kampf abgeht oder wie?
no, heute nicht mehr, aber früher haben sie es genauso machen müssen. Früher.
Und heute, wie machen sie es heute?
Ja, heute geht das alles reibungslos und wenn einer gegen die Gesetze verstößt, dann wird er auf eine fremde Insel verbannt. Und dort wird er dann sozusagen aus der Gesellschaft gezogen.
Aber zuerst wird er gewarnt.
Ja.
Mehrere Male. Okay. Yeah. Guido was saying that normally after several warnings, if somebody, he said they don't have any more problems like we do. They do not, if they discuss things, things are resolved normally in a peaceful manner. But if somebody is a troublemaker, that person will be warned, and if quite necessarily, maybe repeatedly, and if that person doesn't shape up, they send him to another planet. They send that person to another planet.
I like that.
Where that person is
So
sent.
they're ostracized.
Yes, ostracized, and they are separated by gender. Die sind durch Geschlechter getrennt, und dann müssen sie lernen mit der Erde,
Mit der Händearbeit müsst ihr Brot verdienen und Geisteslehre dürfen sie lernen.
Ah, ja.
Sie müssen das lernen, so lange bis sie es kapiert haben.
Okay.
Is that how many of us got here? Did many of us get here by exile? Are we being in the penal colony here?
wollte wissen, ob wir eine Strafkolonie waren für Plejadier in Urzeiten.
Die ersten die Sträflinge von den Plejadiern wurden vor 22 Millionen Jahren die ersten auf die Erde geschickt. Das war mal 3 Jahre.
Yeah, 22 million years ago, there were some Pleiadians that were sent to Earth.
Australia, huh?
But Paige, to finish off your question, he said Guido said there are no such conflicts now, but if not, then they're sent to another planet. They're segregated by sex, so they cannot multiply, they cannot procreate, and then they have to work there, and they have to work with the ground. They have to grow their own food. They are not given any real help. They have to learn through they are given the spirit lessons. They are allowed to learn the spiritual laws and all those things so that they can evolve. But they have to struggle really.
So they're demoted as far as
yes,
evolution.
Yes. Also sind sie sozusagen wie sagt man denn da, im Rang werden sie dann, sie werden dadurch bestraft, dass sie nicht in einer normalen friedlichen Gesellschaft sind. Ja.
Aber sie kommen nicht in Gefängnisse, so wie bei uns, dass sie wie die Konserven in einer Strafanstalt sind. Da lernen sie nämlich nicht. Im Gegenteil.
Yeah. They are never put into a prison the way we have it, because he said prisons they don't learn anything that is good for them. They are only sent to those planets so that they learn how to live in a spiritual manner, and they have to learn to survive and be decent people. And they are there until they've learned it.
Deshalb ist auch die Todesstrafe der größte Unsinn, weil diese Leute ja nichts lernen. Die kommen nachher genauso wieder auf die Erde wie vorher.
And that's why the Pleiadians have told Billy that capital punishment is the biggest nonsense around, because the people who are being killed prematurely before their normal, natural end of their life, they don't learn anything, because their life is stopped. So then they have to come back to finish off their lives, and then they're going to start where they have left off. So they're not learning anything by being punished in that manner.
But we don't also have anything to send them to another planet.
Yet.
Sorry, what was it?
Australia was a good idea.
So you're saying about the Pleiadians, if something happens to them, they are punished by going to another planet.
Yeah.
But with our Earth, we are, and our education is so low what do we do with them?
Technology, yeah.
Die Marianne hat gesagt, unsere,
We elect them to high office.
unsere Entwicklung jetzt solide. Was machen wir dann mit was wäre am besten mit unseren Kriminellen? Wenn wir keine Todesstrafe
Genau dasselbe, absondern auf eine Insel. Ja, muss man halt, es gibt Inseln genug, die muss man halt absperren.
Yeah. Guido is saying the best thing would be on Earth to use some islands that are inaccessible and just use those. Put the people there.
Yeah, well, we'd have to have an island that fits probably 250 billion people.
Ja, wir müssen eine Insel haben, die 250 Milliarden Menschen fast haben.
3 billion got to open space in Antarctica.
Something like that.
In our myth, it's creating that.
Wir haben ja bloß 5,8 Milliarden.
They're only 5.8 billion. But no, but yeah, I know, yeah.
It's like, you know,
Yeah,
we
but
could
still, it would
definitely
be a
catch
huge-
up to our population problem.
Ja,
Get them half
ja
off the
das
planet.
trotzdem müsste es eine große Insel sein, die da so viele Leute fassen kann. Ja,
Ja,
it would have to be a big
das
place.
ist ein Problem, das hätte man viel früher machen müssen. Jetzt, die Probleme werden immer größer. Mit der Überbevölkerung werden die Probleme von Jahr zu Jahr größer.
Yeah, every year the problems are growing, and consequently the numbers of people that should be sent to that island is growing, and consequently we need a bigger island.
Yeah, that's true. But then if you put all those people on there, then they get compare notes, and then they get bigger, better problem because now they're a collective.
Yes, but the thing
But they
is,
can't
there's a good
procreate.
chance they will kill each other.
Yeah, and then they have to come back and do it all over on another 150 years.
Dann würden die ihre eigenen Narzissten, ja, was hast denn du anstellen? Dann würden die eine große Macht darstellen. Ich sage, nein, das ist gut, das ist vielleicht eine Chance, dass sie sich gegenseitig umbringen würden. Yeah, he said it wouldn't matter really what they do there, because unless they learn to live spiritually, they wouldn't be allowed to go back into the regular society. I mean, if it were done the way the aliens do.
Well, they used to exile.
Aber die werden schon überwacht. Die werden schon überwacht.
Ah, yeah. They are still being monitored. They're not just totally left to their own devices. They are being monitored. Einmal im Monat, oder was habe ich da mal gelesen? They are continuously monitored, nonetheless, but they have to learn, and then this is how they find out when those people are ready to come back to society.
Well, if you think about it, prisons today are modern representations of exile, except now we don't have a landmass to put them anyplace, so we put them in a building.
Yeah, but they don't learn anything important.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. If anything, they learn how to survive as criminals also.
Yeah, criminal training is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ich sage, dass im Gefängnis ist es bei uns ja, Gefängnis ist wie eine Universität für Kriminelle, also die lernen nichts, das ist von Wichtigkeit. Ja.
Die tauschen noch ihre Tricks aus, nicht gegenseitig.
Yeah. Guido was saying in prison, our people here, they exchange their tricks of the trade, and then they come out more learned in that way than you were going to ask them. Oh, okay.
How about conspiracies and secret societies and tribes? They're trying to get in charge of
You mean on Earth here?
It's not government like we
Yeah.
have.
Should we still finish off some of those questions here, because we're going from one to the other. And let me just continue, please. Wie schauen die Fabriken aus, die Raumschiffe herstellen? Und gibt es Fotos vom Planeten, von Era und den Menschen, die dort leben? The question was, what are their manufacturing plants like for making their spaceships, and are there photos of the planet and the beings?
Also von Era habe ich noch nie ein Foto gesehen. Ili hat insgesamt etwa 400 Weltraumfotos gehabt von verschiedenen Planeten, anderen Gestirnen und Saurier und so weiter und so fort. Aber von Era habe ich nie eins gesehen.
Guido said that Billy has 400 photos of different planets and star systems and star clusters and all different things, but he has never seen one of Era.
Und ich habe über 100 Kopien gemacht von diesen Weltraumbildern und habe kürzlich vor ein paar Monaten gefragt, ob ich denn die jetzt bei den Vorträgen zeigen darf. Das wurde strikte abgelehnt. Ja, strikte abgelehnt. Ich soll das ja nicht machen, denn sonst holen sie mir sämtliche Bilder.
Guido made 100 copies of the space pictures Billy had, and he was asking, would he be allowed to show them at the different conferences when he's going to? And the Pleiadians told Billy, if he doesn't, they're going to confiscate all the pictures. Then they cannot show anything at all.
Hat nicht mehr ein einziges Bild. Hat nicht ein Bild.
Von den
Nicht
400?
eins, nicht eins. Alle gelogen.
Oh yeah?
Why?
Von den 400?
Ja.
Oh, the Pleiadians have taken all the 400 pictures back that Billy already had. Now, there's not one single picture left now.
He took them all.
All the 400. Und warum haben Sie das
Ja,
gemacht?
weil die Menschen, hauptsächlich Amerikaner, muss ich leider sagen, wie zum Beispiel der von Kewitzki und so, die haben sich so lächerlich gemacht mit diesen Bildern, haben die so in den Dreck gezogen, da sind sie sehr sauer geworden. Ja, sehr sauer. Reagiert.
There is a gentleman, I believe he's in New York, Cheryl von Kewitzki, is he in New York? Yeah. And there are people like that, and they really made such fun of the pictures and really pulled them through the mud that the Pleiadians really got sour. They said that's enough, and they took them. Okay. Now, hast du was wegen den Raumschiffen oder so?
Die Fabriken sind alle unterirdisch. Es ist kein einziger Schlot, der den Rauch mit Rauch die Atmosphäre verpestet, sind alle unterirdisch, alle Fabriken. Und die arbeiten natürlich mit Robotern und Androiden.
The factories to produce these spacecraft are all subterranean. There's no single chimney that smokes and pollutes the air, nothing. It's totally underground. And all the work is done with androids and robots.
Androiden sind von Menschen erzeugte Wesen, die sind halb Mensch, halb Maschine. Die können aber denken wie ein Mensch, sie sehen aus wie ein Mensch, aber sie können abschalten, sich selber abschalten, oder sie werden von den Pleiadiern abgeschaltet, wie man es eben braucht.
The androids are created by human beings, and they look like human beings, and they can think like human beings, but they can be turned on and off like a machine, and they do their work, and that's all. They can turn themselves off too. Okay? They can turn themselves off. Oh, Wouldn't you like that? Okay, let's see. Okay, next question. Did Jesus Christ ever exist? Hat Jesus Christus wirklich irgendwann einmal gelebt?
Er hat gelebt, bloß hat er erstens gar nicht so geheißen, er hat Emmanuel geheißen. Zweitens ist er kein Sohn des Schöpfers gewesen, sondern er wurde von einem Außerirdischen namens Gabriel mit einer irdischen Frau gezeugt.
Jesus Christ's name was not Jesus Christ in reality, it was Emmanuel, and he was created by an extraterrestrial called Gabriel together with a terrestrial woman. Okay. The question here is, at the time of Jesus Christ's birth, there was a conjunction of Jupiter, Saturn, and Venus, but I heard it actually was a spacecraft. Which is correct? Or was it a combination? Steht hier, zum Zeitpunkt von Emmanuels Geburt war ein Zusammentreffen von Jupiter, Saturn und Venus. Aber ich habe gehört, dass es in Wirklichkeit ein Raumschiff war.
Also
was ist korrekt und oder war es eine Kombination von beiden?
Über die Kombination, über diese planetarische Kombination, da weiß ich nicht genau Bescheid, aber es war ein Raumschiff, das die heilige Familie, wie man so schön sagt, geführt hat. Ja. Auch die drei Könige sind geführt worden.
Guido's answer is that he is not quite sure about that conjunction of the planets, but it was a spaceship that guided the three wise men, and also the what we call the Holy Family, the Mary and Joseph and maybe.
war kein Komet oder sowas.
It was not a
Das war
comet.
ein Raumschiff.
It was not a comet that guided them.
Pleiadienraumschiff.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It was not a comet that guided the three wise men and did not take Mary and Joseph and us to Egypt. It was a spacecraft that guided them. A Pleiadian spacecraft.
Der Gabriel war auch ein
And Gabriel was also a Pleiadian.
You guys want to take a short break or you want to keep going?
Willst du eine Pause machen oder willst du ein bisschen weitermachen? We can continue a little bit longer.
The tip planets make it real bright because as it is now, you can see Jupiter up there is real bright. Normally Venus is too. And if a combination of planets were together, it would magnify the size, you know. So it would be look like there's something underneath, you know, right? And so that was what we were
Aline, der Grundbürger, sie fragt wegen Jupiter und Saturn und Venus. Sie sagt, wenn die drei nah beieinander wären, dann wäre es sehr hell und es könnte dann leicht sein, dass es so aussieht, als ob es ein Komet war. He said maybe, but he does not know. So,
We know what happened as a result of that. What was their intent?
Was war der, you mean the Pleiadian intent? Was war der Zweck der ganzen Übung sozusagen von den Pleiadien, um Emmanuel auf die Erde zu schicken? Und so?
Ja, das war so, die Pleiadier haben sich von der Erde zurückgezogen, sind wieder in ihre Heimat zurück.
Auf Era.
Ja. Und dann hat der damalige Boss, das war der Ischwisch-Leios, hat dann befohlen, man solle diesen Propheten zeugen hier, damit er eben die Lehre des Geistes lehrt.
The Pleiadians had withdrawn from Earth at that point and gone back to Era, and the Ishvish at the time, called Pleios, had told them that this prophet should be created on Earth to bring the material to the people.
Emmanuel war ein Prophet,
He was a prophet.
Hat, wie gesagt, er ist von einem Außerirdischen gezeugt worden, aber nicht einmal von dem damaligen Boss, geschweige denn von der Schöpfung. Das ist völlig irreal. Als Sohn der Schöpfung ist völlig irreal.
Yeah, when people are saying that Jesus Christ or Emmanuel was the Son of God or creation, it is not true. It is absolutely not true. He was the son of this Pleiadian called Gabriel and an earth woman. And
ist auch nicht am Kreuz gestorben.
And he did not die on the cross. So.
How did he die?
Yeah.
Old age.
Wie ist er gestorben?
Ja, also er war im Scheintod, ja.
He was in, what do you call it, when you're not totally dead, but people think you're dead?
You're dead?
Coma.
A Republican.
Well, let me just think. What?
Coma.
Just a second.
Animation.
Semi-died.
Where is
Apparent
Emmanuel
suspended
today?
animation in trance, yeah. Anyhow, so this is the condition he was in.
Aber wie sage ich, beantworte die Frage persönlich.
Guido said he will answer your question privately. Okay. So,
what was the question, Heidi?
I don't know, I didn't hear it. I was
He doesn't want him to repeat it.
Yeah. Okay. Was there something else that I'm missing? No. Okay, then we can go on. Which religion was Billy raised in? In welcher Religion wurde Billy aufgezogen?
Jetzt in diesem Leben?
Yeah. In this lifetime?
Ja.
Whoever wrote this? Ja, in diesem Leben.
Ich weiß nicht genau, katholisch oder evangelisch, ich weiß nicht genau.
Guido is not quite
Entweder katholisch oder evangelisch.
Yeah, in Switzerland it's either Catholic or Protestant, one of the two. It's in some villages it sometimes is a little bit borderline.
Aber er ist ja gewandert, er ist viele Jahre gewandert, durch 40 Länder und hat fast alle Hauptreligionen persönlich kennengelernt, indem er hat sie aufnehmen lassen, er hat alle diese Bräuche mitgemacht, er kennt sich da wunderbar aus.
in his, wie lang war das, wie viele Jahre lang in der Wanderung? Es waren so,
12 Jahre.
yeah. For 12 years when he was a young adult, and then 12 years onward, Billy was in many countries all around the world, and he became a member in many religions, all the main religions, and he really studied them. He went around and learned all the rituals and everything. So if anybody wants to know anything about religion, they can talk to Billy.
Das war zum Teil sogar lebensgefährlich für ihn.
In some instances, it was even